In previous episodes, I discussed body, soul, and spirit and how they form our personhood and the idea of free will and how human beings interact with our environment. And ultimately, the human beings being spiritual beings are made to interact both with God and then through our bodies and our minds to interact with our natural surroundings and other people. And so our being is made to be in communion with God, with one another, and interact with the environment. So then when it comes to our daily lives as far as our spiritual development, we then have to look at, well, if we have a free will, how does this free will interact with the world? And as discussed previously, through the body and our senses, we first perceive the world and then our mind kind of translates it. Our mind will give us preset programs, let's say, on how to react to the world. There are higher levels of the brain that may take on topics where they don't fit easily into one basket or another. And then they trigger an emotion, and that emotional response then tells the body what to do. And so our thoughts are very important, and especially our spiritual disposition is important because those inform our will and tell us how to react to things. So the higher our spiritual development goes, then our reactions to things should be different than if we were strictly looking at the world in a, let's say, a purely rational sense or just a purely physical sense, like animals, let's say. And the primary, when we talk about the physical reaction of emotions, they prime the body, and with the we create a sort of a tension as we're primed for reaction, and this tension can be called stress. Anytime we have to deal with a particular situation, it forces us to have a reaction to things. And there are various levels of that reaction, and we would consider those elevated levels of stress. So I've put made yet another sort of a triangle, but it's not the same as before. But let's say this line here represents, unconsciousness, and as we go up this line, we have a heightened level of physical response. So it goes from being, let's say, completely unconscious to being kind of off the charts. You could say heart attack, stroke, really high levels up here. But there are two lateral ways that we can go through an elevated stress level. One is eustress, and this is the eu, or in Greek it would be eu or ev, meaning good stress or distress. The difference being is, let's say you're driving on an icy road and your car goes out of control, your heart rate goes up, your breathing goes up, your muscle tensions, and you're going up this level here. Now take let's say a really wild roller coaster ride that you want to go on, that you want to feel out of control. You're going to have a lot of the same physical responses, but it would actually be a positive experience. What is the difference between these? For the most part, the real difference is our attitudes towards the event and towards the type of stress that we're experiencing. Well, what does that have to do with our spiritual lives? Well, we are supposed to be moving away from distress and towards eustress because of the primary difference between the two, and that being fear, which is something that in my earlier videos I explained the problem of fear. Distress is a fear-based experience, whereas eustress is one that is, let's say, even though he's using a roller coaster, it's more of a faith based experience of elevated, heightened response. So, for example, when you get on that roller coaster, you know, because the company is safe and they have an experience and all that, you know that you will be kept from destruction. There is a barrier between you and ultimately something unfortunate happening. Whereas in a distress, we are encountering fear. So as far as Christians are concerned, we are on a daily basis pushed into situations where we must react with elevated levels of stress. The question is how much of our faith informs our vision, our perception of our world. The greater that we perceive God's love and mercy, the more that we're going to experience life on a eustress basis as opposed to a distress situation where we are fearing that God is not going to save us at all and that we're in big trouble. So the question then remains is how do we go from that fear state to a faith state so that we are experiencing positive stress in our lives as opposed to negative stress. And that again is a topic I think for many more discussions, but I'll try in upcoming episodes to dig into that a little bit. So hope this helps. Thank you.